Hello, Internet, and welcome to another episode of ShoutStone. My name is Shouthis, and I am bringing you another Shoutcast from the Hearthstone beta, once again provided to me by a user by the name of Stormshriek. And we watched one of his games a few days ago, so without any further ado, let's hop into the action right now. It is
Anduin versus Thrall.
Anduin versus Thrall, Priest versus Shaman, Stormshriek playing the part of Anduin the Priest, and Artim playing the part of Thrall the Shaman. So I do have to kind of apologize. The last game that I cast of Stormshriek's, I talked a little bit about the lack of synergy in the decks, and I had this thought in the back of my brain when I was casting the game and seeing how these decks were playing out, that they didn't feel like constructed decks. It felt like an arena game, but I wasn't told what these games were from, just that they were games, and I don't watch these games in advance or ask any questions. I just cast them because that's the most natural way to go. It turns out that last game was an arena game. This one may be an arena game too. I don't know for sure, but the last game definitely was. So that explains the lack of synergy. But in any event, it's all good. We're just gonna go ahead and keep going here. So, not a whole lot of action coming into play here. First, Stormforged Axe in play for the Shaman player. We also have a Shield Breaker and a Northshire Cleric in play for our Priest player. Alright, so he targets that Lightning Bolt, takes down the Northshire Cleric. Can be a very smart move to do that, just because, card batteries like that, you just don't want to keep in play for very long. But really not a lot of damage out on the field right now. But I do know that the Shaman player, between that Axe and that Lightning Bolt, has been running on less than max mana for the last couple turns. And yep, he can do it again. Feral Spirit, that's going to pop 2/2/3 Wolves. Fantastic. But he's going to lock down a couple more points of mana for the next turn. But that's part of being a Shaman. If you want to get the most out of your deck, you got to lock down your mana. So it's basically costing you more mana. You're just, borrowing it like a bank in a later turn. Alright, so he's going to drop that Gurubashi Berserker. And that's a really handy minion if you can buff it up nicely. It fits in well with a Priest deck because you can buff up its health and constantly heal it and let it take more and more damage and get more and more powerful. It's a lot of fun. Alright, so it looks like he's going to use those wolves to finally take out that Shield Breaker. And right now, Stormshriek is certainly looking at some difficult seas ahead with all of those very nasty-looking taunt minions. He's starting to worry down one of those wolves, and he's going to heal up that minion again. But that's how it works. And he's going to silence one of those wolves, so that'll be handy. That way he doesn't really have to focus too heavily on that if he doesn't want to. He will still want to get rid of it soon because it is still a 2/3 minion, and that can hurt after a while. You never want to let your opponent sit on too many minions for too long because that will start to be very painful after a while. I'm going to spawn another totem, just Wrath of Air, so 1 spell power. I should get in the habit of calling it by its post-patch name, Spell Damage, but these are all pre-patch games, so we'll just play along for now. Interesting. He chose to attack with his hero into... and he's going to blow Lightning Storm, which will deal 4 damage, I believe, here. Yes, it will. And it's still going. There it goes. Wow. And he's going to finish it off. So, alright, well, so it kind of paid off. He did have to eat a little bit of damage, but between his Wrath of Air totem, Lightning Storm, and one of his wolves, which was silenced already, he managed to get rid of what could have been a really, really nasty minion. Alright, looks like he's going to drop that Light Spawn, probably going to buff it up with Power Word Shield. This is, of course, the pre-patch Light Spawn, so it's a little bit weaker. Oh, is he going to do it again? No, I guess he's not. He only has 1 mana left. He could potentially drop that second shield and get a really nasty-looking minion out there, but now he is going to sit on the 7/7. So that'll do. For anybody who's unfamiliar with Light Spawn, its attack power scales depending on the amount of health it has. So keeping it healed and keeping it alive is just as important because the more damage it takes, the weaker it gets. So it's a very interesting minion to play. and it's a really cool dynamic, I think. Alright, so Artim does drop a healing totem, and he does hex the light spawn, so much for that. Good thing he didn't use that second shield. And he's going to start attacking into Stormshriek. Alright, so looks like he's going to pop Mind Vision, which is going to give him Forked Lightning. Alright, so that could be very interesting. He will kill 2 minions if he decides to play that, and he will. So not bad. That's actually a pretty handy ability. I mean, it does lock down 2 of his points of mana, but, you know, regardless of whether or not you are a priest player or a shaman player and you happen to steal a shaman player's card, you're still in a position where, you know, playing an ability like that deals 4 damage and guarantees 2 minion kills for 1 mana and locks down 2 on your next turn. It's basically 3 mana. I don't see a problem with that at all. Alright, so he's going to take out that Voodoo Doctor, and he's going to finally finish up his weapon, pops another totem, and another Stormforged Axe. So, Fade, that is a card that no longer exists. He's actually got 2 of them, and they no longer exist as of the post-patch Hearthstone. Now, I know there's been several patches to Hearthstone, but I think when I refer to the patch, people know what I'm talking about. Alright, so he's going to play that big Temple Enforcer. Unfortunately, you can't really take advantage of the battle cry, but, you know, heck with it. You got to put something out there, right? I mean, fortunately, most of the minions that are out there are just, you know, totems. So he's only staring down 4 damage. But there is the possibility that he's got Bloodlust in there. And Bloodlust could make that a very nasty position to be in if he doesn't start killing off those totems and things like that. Well, he is full on totems right now, and they are flanking the Senjin Shield Master. And he's going to start wearing down that Temple Enforcer, but he's going to die, and he is going to eat 6 damage off of that, but he will finish it off and play another Shield Master. So, not bad. I mean, he's still, again, this is where I talked about this last game, I believe, where I mentioned that health is not only a resource for Warlock players who have to actually spend it on cards, but it's a resource for your strategy and the way you play. Like, in this case, you know, the Shaman player attacked into a minion and ate 6 damage to himself just to get it off the field. Now, was that the best strategy? It could be. But that's kind of an example of what I mean, is you have to use your own health as a resource to dispatch minions and other things like that. Alright, so he's going to play Rockbiter Weapon, which gets him another card. So he will be able to just use 1 minion this time to take out that Temple Enforcer. But he is only staring at the 2 damage from the weapon. But alright, so it's getting really interesting. Unfortunately, the Priest player is just loaded up on spells. And there's really not much he can do at this point. He's got 2 Fades, a Power Word Shield, and Inner Fire, or I'm sorry, Divine Spirit. But that's really not going to get you very far when you have no minions to take advantage of any of those spells. I am kind of eager. I mean, it's the most nervous thing, I think, when, you know, right now, is he looking at a lot of damage despite the fact that his opponent has a full minion field? No. You know, he's looking at, okay, 4 from the Azure Drake, 4 from the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, and 1 from that Searing Totem. But he did just draw that Holy Nova. Now that will kill off most of what's out there. Pretty much all the totems. It's going to do severe damage to everything else. So now he's looking at 8 damage. Now the reason I was talking about how a problem that was, as I mentioned earlier, Bloodlust. If he had Bloodlust and popped that when he had a full minion field, despite the fact that they were totems, he would have basically just wrecked this Priest player and really put him on the back foot. But right now, Rock Elemental, another healing totem, popped Rockbiter Weapon on the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. And it's going to be attacking time. So now, it is safe to say that Stormshriek is on the clock. He's staring at... oh, you know, I may have overestimated that. I'm sorry. He's still in a pretty risky position. I mean, it's probably safe to assume that the Shaman player has something in his hand to make life difficult. All he has is that Voodoo Doctor, so he's going to try and burn that. He's going to really try to power it up. And he's going to make it a taunt, so this could be interesting. He did just draw that Shield Bearer, so get another taunt minion out there. Well, it's an interesting approach, you know? I mean, right now he just needs to keep the damage off of him. You know, that's really all it comes down to. Unfortunately, well, they're both really hot targets for that Rock Elemental. Another Forked Lightning. And because of the extra spell power, it kills off the Shield Bearer and will be quick work for any other minion on that field. Yeah, he wanted to use that damage right on Anduin. Well, this is not looking good. You know, it ain't over yet, but I mean, the card advantage, the minion advantage, the health advantage, everything is in favor of this Shaman player. Play a Yeti, taunt it up. Oh, he can silence something. Yeah, he's gonna choose the taunt minion just to take it down, but job's done. It might be worth it to get rid of that because yeah, this is a really interesting play. I mean, he's not gonna die on this next turn, unless of course there's something in that massive hand of the Shaman players, and it looks like he's claiming there is. So he's just gonna take it out, start dealing some more damage. He's down to 3. Alakir, yep, Alakir, the Windlord, will finish things off, and there it goes. So GG, Artim wins this matchup, and really rules the field for a good amount of that game. That's a big kind of point behind a lot of this, is that if you can dominate the field and you can own your presence on the board, then you can win just about any kind of situation. Is it always guaranteed? Not necessarily. You never know exactly what you're facing off against, but that's really it. So there you have it. That is going to do it for this episode of ShoutStone. I will be back tomorrow with more Hearthstone action or something else. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I'll be back tomorrow, and of course on Monday I will be back with some fantastic arena time with Trump action as we try to see if he can make it all the way to 9 wins. But once again, that is all for me. Don't forget, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are in the description below. I'd love to have you like the show on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. That'd be awesome. You can also subscribe here for daily updates, like this video, comment, all that good stuff. But thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.